Two Geeks, Two Beers and a Laptop. Episode 3, ReBoot.
Sorry guys, end program. Better luck next cycle.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Welcome to a new episode of Two Geeks, Two Beers and a Laptop with me, Tom, and Morgan.
Hello again.
I just wanted to start this week's episode with a kind of weird disclaimer thing, because in the last Thundercats one, I went on and on about this toy that I had.
Yeah, your Lino toy, right?
Wasn't Thundercats at all.
Okay.
After a bit of research, all these years I've thought it was Thundercats, don't know why, and I looked it up.
Visionaries?
Yes.
Visionaries.
Well done.
Well, because you were talking about the staff with the hologram.
I've never heard of this.
About it. You've never heard of Visionaries, right?
It means nothing. Well,
Future episode. Visionaries.
Visionaries, Knights of the Magical Light.
That's right. It was another classic 80s cartoon that we'll get onto at some
Apparently
point.
Apparently a Hasbro toy range 10 cartoon series.
Yeah,
there we go. So in case anyone was wondering what I was going on about.
It's coming, an amazing holographic world erupting in furious battle as the Visionaries fight for the power of the magical light. Coming soon from the makers of Transformers.
Right. Today's episode is all about ReBoot.
ReBoot.
What do you know about ReBoot?
Alright, so I do remember, this isn't like one where I have no clue whatsoever, like you with Thundercats or me with Terrorhawks. I did used to watch ReBoot. It used to be on CITV. I remember I used to come home after school and watch it. And it was, I guess, in the sort of early 90s, 93, 94?
Yeah, mid-90s, yeah.
And so that was a time when computers were very new, the internet was very new. So I remember the show was very into that whole thing, very exciting about computers. So all the characters were called things like Megabyte and Dot Matrix and I don't know, floppy disk or whatever. and part of that was obviously it was computer generated, which pretty much one of the first.
I think it was the first completely computer animated TV series.
Yeah, and at the time, I remember it looking amazing. Like looking back now, it's obviously dated a little bit as these things do, but I remember it looking absolutely incredible. But I watched it at the time. I haven't really looked back on it since. That's more or less the extent of my knowledge.
Well, it started in 1994 and it was on. It's a Canadian show. I thought for years it was just an American show, but it was on YTV. And it was the first computer animated series. Whereas nowadays, you look on any kind of advert on telly, like there'll be a what's that one with the koala with the toilet paper. Like
all over the toilet paper.
Yeah, there's any advert you can find. They've got incredible animation where it's like you've got the hairs on the creature.
Yeah. There's been such an advancement in the past 20 years or so.
Well, it looks dated now, but at the time, as you say, it was pretty good.
Well, and these days, cell animation, or traditional cell animation, is the thing that's dying out. Whereas at the time, all shows were animated that way. Yeah. Computer animation was something new. Now you'll struggle to find a kids show that's not at least in part computer animated.
Maybe it's ReBoot's fault. They were the first to do it. But I laugh as one of the co-creators is called Phil Mitchell. I just wanted to get that out there.
Right, okay. Not Steve McFadden if he's standing.
No, sadly not.
For crying out loud.
But it was a Canadian series. It was from Mainframe Entertainment, and they used their own name as the computer system where everyone lives. So it takes place in I guess someone's computer known as Mainframe.
All right. So it's set in Mainframe.
Yeah. So I'm guessing it's just someone's like desktop.
Okay.
PC.
A bit like a Lego movie style. It's all set within someone's.
Later on I was going to say maybe they've been influenced by it, but as you say, it's all named after kind of dated computer references.
Not dated at the time.
No, because the internet was pretty new. It was started in '94, so it was pretty new at the time.
Yeah.
And it's all about these humanoid people that live in the net, called sprites.
Right.
And in some of the sprites are called Guardians, and there's like Bob is the main character.
Yeah. So I remember Bob.
Yeah.
And that was something that always bugged me about ReBoot was why were their characters called Hexadecimal and Megabyte and Dot Matrix? Why was he called Bob?
It was a bit strange. I don't think he even has like a full name. That's his nickname or something.
It's not an acronym or anything. It's just called Bob. All right, fair enough.
But he looks after the sprites, and he's meant to fend off the viruses that he's supposed to kill them. But apparently he doesn't live by the rules. He wants to give them a chance.
He's a maverick.
Right.
It's gotta be Megabyte. He did it to get to me, but I'll take care of it. It's my problem.
He's the main guy. He's just really cool and awesome, and he's. And also, I wanted to mention he has a thing on his wrist at all times called Glitch.
I remember this, yeah, Glitch.
And this is like his key tool, which he tells to do anything. It's kind of like Lino's
Sword of Omens.
Yeah, can pretty much do everything. Glitch, power, drive, and it will do whatever. A precursor to the iWatch, or whatever it's called. Yeah.
Yeah. Again. Yeah. ReBoot has been a very influential show. More than we realise. Yeah.
And I always wanted one, and now we can have one.
Yeah.
As I say, Dot Matrix, she was kind of Bob's main romantic.
His love interest.
Yeah. Obviously named after the printer of the era.
Yeah.
Look, this isn't the supercomputer. Around here, we mainframers stick together, and when it comes to Megabyte, the answer is always no.
She runs Dot's Diner, which is like...
So there's a whole city within the mainframe.
Yeah, so the mainframe is just one of many similar systems that are, I guess, are just different people's computer.
Okay, right.
But it's connected
linked
to
by the internet.
The net,
right,
which at the time was quite a new thing.
Yeah.
But the net was meant to be this dangerous thing you don't want to go in because who knows what's in it. But anyway, you find out later on that Dot and her brother Enzo, who's a little kid with a baseball cap like Bart Simpson.
Yeah.
A major surge of goons showed up at the diner and started to completely offline the place. I mean, jack out, crash, crunch, backslash, delete, trash, log off.
Their dad tried to create a portal into the net, and it blew up the entirety of the next city. So that's just in ruin. That's where Hexadecimal lives.
Hexadecimal.
So Hexadecimal is one of the main baddies. She's a computer virus.
Right.
Which is just a bit mental.
Right.
As much as I enjoy the chaos you bring into my life, it is time to be rid of you once and for all.
So it's just got this amazing backstory, which for a kids show, again, I know we keep saying this, but for a kids show,
these kids shows at the time always have these really complex mythologies.
And I don't know if it just got lost on kids or not, but just really complicated backstory. And Hexadecimal's brother, the one you mentioned earlier, Megabyte.
I didn't realise they were brother and sister.
Well, yeah, you find that out halfway through the series.
Right,
it was quite a big reveal at the time. And he was voiced by Tony J, who's sadly no longer with us. But yeah, Megabyte was the main sort of antagonist throughout ReBoot and Bob's nemesis.
Now, Bob, must we go through all these dramatics again?
If necessary.
Then I'll take you with me as insurance.
How do you know I'm not willing to go through a tear? Psych!
And the weird thing was with ReBoot is that the first few series were quite sort of episodic and kiddie. And
kid-friendly,
each episode was its own thing and didn't really have much. It was just setting up the characters, I guess.
Yeah.
But then as it got more and more on, it got proper sci-fi and it felt like an adult thing. I don't know if that's what counted against it in the end.
Well, at this point, I'm going to jump in because one of the reasons I'm not that into ReBoot is because I did used to watch it. I think it was like the first series or two.
Yeah.
Now, the end of... we were talking about how last week, how at this time you had no internet or very little internet. There was no Wikipedia. So you couldn't go on and see how many episodes there were of something. So you had no idea when a show was going to end. And I remember watching this episode of ReBoot where Megabyte beats Bob, sends him into the web... Exciting! Yeah. It was terrifying. I was absolutely. I watched it as a kid and I was like, "What? He's just lost." And Bob got sent away. Yeah. And that was the end of the series. Yeah. And I thought that was the end of ReBoot. And so, unlike Thundercats, where I never knew there were more episodes, I knew there were more episodes of ReBoot, but they arrived like a year later, which when you're a kid is the longest time.
And you've grown up so much in that time.
And not only that, but I was so traumatised that I was like, "No, Bob's dead. I don't want to watch it. It was mean. ReBoot was mean-spirited, and I don't want to watch it anymore."
So now, like, if you're a kid now and say a show comes out a bit later, it's been on America, you probably they're all whiz kids, aren't they? They could probably find a way of downloading it all.
Yeah, they'll have watched it before it's even. There's no such thing as CITV anymore, so they'll have just torrented the whole episode and they'll have read up all the spoilers online. It's a different time, Tom.
But that was the thing. The first two series were very kind of
kid friendly and
then suddenly the last 2 or 3 episodes of series 2 went, oh, by the way, we're really serious now, and it got
really dark.
Yeah. And the main I'll go back to this later, but the main plot of the end of series 2 was that this web creature somehow came into mainframe, and it fused hexadecimal and megabyte to create gigabyte.
I remember this now,
and it somehow eventually created this hole into the web to escape to, but it meant other creatures came in, and it was like this big Matrix style like fight going on, and in the end Megabyte had to team up with Bob to try and seal the hole in the whatever.
Betrayed him.
But then he betrayed him.
This is what I remember. This is what scarred me as a child.
And then sent Bob away, and everyone was like, what?
Yeah, and that was the end.
And then Megabyte took over, and that was the end of the series.
Terrifying.
Okay, everyone, get ready. We're going to shut the portal.
Not just yet. Guardian.
But Series 3 was even better, but we'll come on to Series 3 in a minute.
All right.
One thing I've got to talk about is the GameCubes, which is an amazing thing. Do you
not
know
the games
this?
console.
No, before GameCube. So again, Reboots, influence everything. Essentially, every time the user, I guess, plays a game, these big, don't know if you remember, these big like purple cubes come down from the sky.
GameCube.
It goes, incoming game. And if you're in the vicinity, so Bob would always make sure he's there to make sure
he gets into the game.
And then it lands, and whoever's in the game, normally Bob, Enzo, and everyone else, they are like characters in the game if they take on the user. And if the user wins, then it wipes out that. Why, I don't know, but it kills that area of the city. And everyone who's in it, who's lost, turns into these weird sort of nulls, these little creatures that don't exist anymore.
So they're not only battling the viruses, they're also battling us.
Yeah.
We're the villains.
But the weird thing is, the user loses nearly every time. So he's just a shit gamer.
it's just probably just a little kid playing on the console. Well, because otherwise it would be horrible if everything got turned into
every now and
nulls.
then it did.
Yeah.
But the problem was, like, I don't know if it was the same kid playing the games or if it was connected to like a mainframe, I guess.
A LAN.
So maybe it was different people playing each time, who knows.
Warning, incoming game. Warning, incoming game.
So yeah, that was pretty dark. And each time a game came in, it was obviously taking the piss out of some kind of game of the time or TV show. Did James Bond rip-offs? It did Evil Dead and lots of other things. Again, maybe that's why it didn't count in Reboot's favour, because maybe kids just didn't get
references that went over a kid's head.
There was a whole episode once that was dedicated to ripping off The Prisoner.
The 60s series, The Prisoner.
I still haven't seen The Prisoner.
Right, that'll be a future episode, The Prisoner.
But at the time, I didn't know any of the references either. So it was like, what kid out there will get all this?
So now we love it.
Yeah,
but at the time, it would have gone a lot over kids' heads.
That's why I think at times it might not have done so well. But we always like to play the intros, obviously. So again, it's one of those Jerry Anderson style intros where Bob, the main character, talks to you, and then it goes into a nice little
theme. Okay.
So here's the Reboot intro.
I come from the net, through systems, peoples, and cities, to this place, mainframe. My format, Guardian, to mend and defend, to defend my newfound friends, their hopes and dreams, to defend them from their enemies. They say the user lives outside the net and inputs games for pleasure. No one knows for sure, but I intend to find out. Reboot!
Amazing. That was like a little rush of nostalgia from my childhood.
The animation isn't that bad.
It's not that dated.
1994. It was before Toy Story came out.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Do you know what that really reminded me of as well? That reminded me to the introduction to Sliders. Do you remember that?
I found a gateway.
It's like Jerry O'Connell's really earnest voiceover talking about traveling with my friends.
What if you found a portal to a parallel universe?
Another future episode, Sliders, inevitably.
Incredible. But I'll have to get on to season 3 now.
Yeah, which is where it gets dark.
So, I must have watched series 1 and 2 and enjoyed it, but then when I watched series 3, it was the only thing that's come close to a show where I got so hooked was Lost.
Yeah.
A good 10 years later, when I was just obsessed with what was happening. And I must have somehow, again, pre-internet, so I didn't know how I knew when. You don't know when it's coming on. I can't remember like what day a show's on.
I remember tuning in like when season 3 was already like halfway done, and it was so different. Again, that was another reason I didn't really get into the later series. It was so different to everything that had come before, and I was just like, oh, what's this? And there was nowhere for you to look it up. Enzo was suddenly like a grown man with stubble, and he was all ripped.
So here we go. So series 3 was all about surviving without Bob. Bob just wasn't in it for ages. And Enzo, the little kid, was
who's like the little kid sidekick in the first 2 series.
So he's the new Guardian who's now got to take on Megabyte, and obviously he's a bit rubbish because he's a little kid.
I come from the net, infecting systems, people, and cities to this this place. Megaframe, my domain.
And he goes into the game with his friend Andrea, who was like this game... Oh yeah, she was a game sprite in a game that Enzo got on really well with.
And just left the game with him.
And they managed to find a way to, like... She, like, pressed her little reboot button and survived. Yeah, so she... Don't know how it worked.
Right.
So she's now... But anyway, so Enzo, Andrea and Frisket, his dog... lose this Mortal Kombat game.
Right, he's still a kid at this point.
Yeah,
okay.
so he loses the game. But apparently if you press your reboot button before the game goes away, you don't turn into a null.
Okay.
But you travel with the games, like sliders.
Right, there we go.
So now they're travelling from game to game to game. And then each time they win a game, it then loads up and they're in a different world.
So this is a bit of a reboot.
Yeah.
Essentially,
so
it's kind of the revamp the show.
Changed the show.
Yeah.
And at this time, like sliders, they're just trying to find their home. So each time the game leaves, they leave with it, and they've got to try and hope it's mainframe each time.
Quantum leap, slider style. Okay.
But at this point, it skips. Suddenly, the next episode, Enzo is now Matrix.
Yeah.
Who was this double hard like git with massive muscles
and stubble.
Yeah.
I come from the net. I search through systems, peoples, and cities for this sprite, Bob, my friend.
And this is what pissed me off at the time, is that it was really exciting, and then CITV just stopped playing Reboot.
Brilliant.
Mid-season. I think it was because the World Cup was on or something.
Okay.
And so there was disruption. I think they might have gone, I don't think anyone's really watching Reboot, so let's just can it now.
Yeah.
Never came back.
And
it was...
But there were more episodes.
Yeah.
Similar to Thundercats.
Yeah. And I had to wait about 5 years, maybe more, until I found that there was DVDs of it, and I watched them much, that much older. I was at uni or something, just going, oh my god, and it got so exciting.
So it cut off midway through season 3, and so how much of Reboot?
So there's probably about 6 to 8 episodes left. That they didn't ever air.
So frustrating.
I don't know if you want me to give spoilers, but
go on.
They eventually find Bob in the web.
So Bob comes back.
Yeah, Bob is back.
All right, this is now healing a trauma that I've carried with me ever since I was 10.
He's not dead. He's this whole time just been this super hard guardian who's like who's with a load of web pirates who are actual pirates.
All right.
And they eventually get back to mainframe. Everyone's there, but the system's fucked. It's all like destroyed and everything. So Megabyte's in charge.
All right.
But eventually they defeat Megabyte. It's all happy. It causes the user to do a system reboot, actually, because it's so fucked. They have to do that, and they've got to hope. And then when it comes back, everyone is refreshed as it was, but everyone's got their memories and everything. It's all fine. And there's even like young Enzo who comes back.
Because they've rebooted the whole system.
So there was old Matrix and young Enzo at the same... I think they just wanted to bring Enzo back.
Yeah, young Enzo. All right.
So yeah. It was like the most exciting, brilliant, perfect end ever.
Yeah.
And I love Pirates of Penzance. There's this Gilbert and Sullivan musical.
Yeah.
And at the very end, they did this weird thing where they were like, let's recap the series. And they did to the tune of a song from Pirates of Penzance. And I was watching it going, have they written this for me? It was like the most perfect end to a program ever.
So it's a happy ending, and it literally ends on a song.
Yeah.
All right.
But then there's season 4 as well, which I didn't know about until another 5 years. And I downloaded it at the time and went... So that's
not the end?
No, there's another fucking series. And it's not as good, but it was like 2 long films they did.
Right.
And it was really good in its own way.
So what happens in season 4?
There's this like new virus called Damon that comes in, this girl virus.
Right. That sounds like they're trying to drag it out.
Yeah, it had its moments, but it ended with Megabyte still being around and tricking everyone and seizing control of everything, and it ended on a cliffhanger, never returned. So it did.
Why do that?
I would say, if you're going to watch Reboot, if you really love it, watch it all the way. But if you want it to have a nice, good end on season 3.
I always have this opinion on with any fiction that it's fiction, so the person consuming the fiction can sort of decide where it ends. This is completely off topic, but you remember the Channel 4 show Teachers?
Yeah,
which is not a traditional cult show, but I love that show. And then at the first 3 series are great, and in the 4th series it comes back and it's revealed they've killed off half the cast off screen. They've been given horrific deaths. So that's what made me decide it's all fiction. I can decide when it starts and when it ends. I don't, I discount the 4th series.
Same with Only Fools and Horses. Don't count those last 2 specials.
You discount the final 3 specials, exactly.
But it did continue in comics, apparently.
Oh, okay.
Now, I can't be arsed with that, but it does continue. So I think it probably is some sort of conclusion to everything eventually.
Is there going to be a reboot again. It's the second time I've used that pun because I'm so proud of it. But are they ever going to like bring it back with modern technology?
There was supposed to be a film trilogy in 2008.
Live action or computer generated?
Computer generated, I think.
Okay.
Obviously hasn't happened.
No.
I think there just isn't enough demand for it. I think there is a new series coming out.
Oh, okay.
But it's called Reboot the Guardian Code.
Right.
And I think it's going to be more of a kind of a reboot entirely where Bob and everyone, I don't think they're in it.
So it's just the very basic concepts.
Yeah, and I think it's all about, I think they're trying to do an Avengers, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. type thing, where it's like a new batch of young cadets becoming Guardians.
Okay.
So it could be good, but I'm not that bothered.
Right, and is that going to be like the darker tone of the third and fourth, or is it going to be more like the kiddie-friendly tone of the first two?
I don't know. From what I can tell, it looks a bit kiddie.
Okay.
But I'm hopefully wrong. But my problem, again, is that on one hand, I like the fact that it's quite, niche and hidden, and that it's my little thing that no one else knows about.
Yeah, it's got a little,
But then I also think it's crying out to be this massive deal with loads of films and stuff.
Well, from everything we've been saying, it sounds like it's been far more influential than people realise in terms of the computer animation was the first of its kind. A lot of the ideas were quite new at the time, but have now become accepted in lots of kids shows and even adult films and animation.
Well, there's like Lego Movie, there's Wreck-It Ralph, there's all these films which sort of take place inside of gaming worlds.
Wreck-It Ralph, actually, that's one I didn't think of. That's very similar in themes.
There's a new one coming out called Pixels, which I think might be similar as well.
Okay.
But it's because it's computer animated. It's not like you need the old cast to come back. It'd be great if it did, but you could just get new people. And it's just not well known enough, I don't think. I just think it's one of those things which is just, maybe it's because it's Canadian rather than American. Maybe they didn't really.
Or maybe because they cut it off on CITV, so people didn't see it through to the end. They don't remember it that well.
Yeah, and I think there was a video game at one point. I'm just going to double check.
If there wasn't a reboot video game, someone is like failing in their responsibility as a marketer, really, because that seems like a foregone conclusion.
Yeah, there was. It was on the PlayStation 1.
Oh, I should have been on the GameCube, really. But, all right.
Yeah, before that. Yeah. I never played it, but I remember it being advertised in PlayStation Magazine at the time, and it had like little pictures in it. I was like, oh my god! And really I don't think it got great. It had all the voice cast in it though. On Wikipedia it just says reception. The game gained mixed reviews.
Full stop. That's all you need to know.
Came out in '98. That did.
That seems like it would be like shooting fish in a barrel, making a reboot game.
Yeah. So there was 48 episodes altogether, which is less than I thought they'd be, really. But it's just one of those things. Like, remember when Red Dwarf film was meant to be in the pipeline for 10 years? It's one of those things where every time I look at it, I'll go, "Yeah, there's a reboot film coming out. When? It's soon."
It's in development. I mean, these things can take a long time. It seems to me like a show that was ahead of its time in a lot of ways, with its ideas.
Yeah.
Also, maybe shooting a little too high in terms of its aspirations. It was kind of aimed at adults but produced for children, so a lot of its references were kind of missed. So it seems like a show that was a little too ambitious for its own good, and maybe so it wasn't the big success it could have been. But I think now it's kind of the sort of show that either people can look back at the old episodes, or they can, or if they ever bring it back, it could generate a really sizable audience, because people with the internet, ironically, people are a lot more aware of these kind of references to older stuff. I think it could really work now. It was maybe ahead of its time in the early 90s.
And I suppose it was happening at the time where actual computer stuff was changing as with the internet and everything.
If you were to bring it back, I mean, you might not have a character called Dot Matrix, but you could apply it to present day technology and how the internet works now and that kind of thing.
And with all there's things like, I don't know, Dragon Ball Z, which is like this, started off as this weird niche thing, which has now become this
global phenomenon.
With loads of fans who are obsessed with like the lore. And you think it's a shame that it hasn't happened. There's obviously a cult fan.
There's a very. I think it's one of those shows that people, because like you say, it's kind of, you feel like you own it.
Yeah.
So people get very obsessive about it. The people that do know it, and they absolutely love it.
But again, I still think it's possible for some sort of movie studio to just take it and start again from scratch.
Do you think the computer animation of it is sort of part and parcel of it? Do you think you could ever do some sort of live action adaptation, or does it always have to be computer animated?
I think it makes more sense for it to be animated purely because they're like sprites in a computer system.
Yeah.
But you could do it. I mean, Tron did it, the new Tron.
Yeah.
Both Trons, obviously.
Yeah.
But
Tron Legacy, the film that you love and no one else does.
Oh, it's a great film. It's a good film.
But you don't like the first Tron?
No.
But you like Tron Legacy,
like Tron Legacy,
which is like the invert opinion of everybody else in the world.
But yeah, that works. So you could do it maybe like that, but I think it just looked cheesy, like the Dragon Ball Z film.
Yeah.
Have you seen any of that?
I think my friends bought it for me for my birthday as like a joke. It was like a joke present. That's how bad that movie is. Whenever you try and make an animation into live action, rarely does it turn out well, does it? So Dragon Ball Z, the Last Airbender. We said that in unison because it's like a famously bad example.
M. Night Shyamalan.
The power to control the elements is bestowed upon a chosen few.
You think that ReBoot would be crying out for, again, sorry, a reboot? It'd just be a revamp.
Again, the word reboot itself, everyone knows the word reboot now.
Yeah.
Back then you didn't. Reboot purely meant to reboot your computer.
A computer reboot.
Yeah,
now it means the 12th
shit.
Spider-Man movie that they're making in the past, decade or whatever. Yeah. Well, it just seems crazy when, as I say, cell animation's kind of dead. Every movie that comes, I can't remember the last time Disney made a movie that was cell animated. Everything's computer animation.
Yeah.
It seems strange that people haven't, looked back at the roots of that and gone, oh, what are the old successes that when reboots themselves are so popular, why haven't they revisited the idea of reboot?
I'm pretty sure that's everything I wanted to cover. Any questions about reboot, Mark?
I don't know. Well, as I say, I had like a very, very base knowledge of reboot.
Yeah.
So the main thing, I'm glad we recorded this podcast, if only because I found out that Bob is still alive, which was a childhood trauma of mine. So you've sorted that for me. This is like therapy in a way, recording this podcast. So cheers for that.
But I genuinely recommend anyone who hasn't seen it, who likes just good sci-fi, get through the first couple of series. But it's just genuinely, it is just really good adult sci-fi at times.
As I say, it sounds a little bit too ambitious. It sounds like it's the sort of show that should be appreciated now by adults. Not that kids can't enjoy it, but it sounds like it was a little too complex for kids, and maybe it didn't find the right target audience. But now you can look back on it and enjoy it.
That's about it. Thanks very much for joining us, and thanks for your kind messages from our first 2 episodes.
Yes, thank you very much.
We've already had a few ideas for future ones, so we're looking forward to that.
Yes, if you do have any ideas for future episodes, be they for subjects, be they TV shows or movies or anything along those lines, anything culty, anything geeky, games, please do get in touch. Games. And how can they get in touch?
They can go to Twitter, which is @2geekscast, or 2geeks2beers.wordpress.com. You can leave a comment in there.
Mm-hmm. You can also find our previous episodes on the website, or you can subscribe on iTunes or however you get your podcasts, and that will automatically update with all the new episodes of 2 Geeks, 2 Beers and a Laptop.
We'll be back next time with...
Well, next time I'm sort of taking the reins again, and we'll be talking about Earth's mightiest heroes. No, not the Avengers. We'll be talking about the Defenders of the Earth in episode 4.
Awesome. Well, we'll leave you today with a scene from ReBoot, which, because I know you're a James Bond fan, you'll appreciate this.
Yeah.
There was this one bit in season 3 where Megabyte was being a dick, as he was, and the goodies came out with a way of keeping him in one little section.
Like containing him?
Yeah.
All right.
By creating a firewall.
Okay.
Which was literal fire.
Ah, okay, a wall of fire. Yeah. Right, gotcha.
And for some weird reason, they decided to do James Bond spoof. So this is like a very similar to a James Bond song called Firewall. So
okay.
Leave you there.
Fire, see it burning in the skies, a deadly flame that nullifies. Will the city stand or fall? Fire, see it burning in his eyes. It's the flame that never dies, burning brighter than ever, like a fireball. Which fate is his master? Which path will he choose? Success or disaster? To win or to lose? Guardian, he's a hero to the end. His code to mend